Hello my fellow engineers, today we're going to be talking about the RB-79 ball. But before we dive into the ball itself and why it was not only necessary, but even arguably one of the key factors in the Federation's victory during the 1-year war, let's take a step back and understand the situation that led to its creation. During the development of Zeon's mobile suits, the Federation began to take notice, and concerns started to arise from them. In UC-0078, the Earth Federation integrated the RX project as a precautionary countermeasure against Zeon's new mobile suit capabilities. With only vague information gathered from eyewitnesses' reports and scattered garrison encounters, the early RX designs were based largely on speculation. And despite the limited information, countermeasure research moved forward across multiple fields. And part of the project was to figure out cost-effective measures. One idea was using civilian-used machines and turning it into a mobile weapon. One such civilian model was used was the SP-W03 space pod, which was a colony construction mobile pod. And this phase of development produced experimental models as such as the RX-76 ball and the RTX-44, which was an early ball and gun tank prototype. However, the RX project truly did not have a direction to work with. It was reliant on vague information from eyewitnesses, mixed in with a bit of misinformation from Zeon themselves. Honestly, the Federation was just making guesses at this point. So the early ball as well as early gun tank prototypes was built on information whether it was reliable or not. And when the 1-year war began, the true threat of the mobile suit became undeniable. With clearer intelligence on the battlefield data finally available, the Federation chose to integrate the RX project into Operation V. This move actually gave the program a solid direction, accelerating the development of mobile suits capable of countering Zeon's forces in record time. And it's very unfortunate that the Federation didn't truly understand how deadly mobile suits were until engagements in the 1-year war, one of them being the Battle of Loom. And so that way you guys to sort of get an idea of how deadly this was, over 80% of the Federation's deployed forces were wiped out. Only 42 ships survived the engagement. In contrast, Zeon's losses were very minimum. Just 8 ships were destroyed with 16 heavily damaged and another 14 minorly damaged. And yes, most of the damage was done by Zeon's mobile suits, mostly the Zaku's. And thanks to his Minutsky reactor spreading Minutsky particles, it made it almost impossible to lock onto them. In response, the Federation deployed the FF-S3 Saberfish in hopes of countering Zeon's Zaku's. However, the results were disappointing. The Saberfish missiles couldn't achieve lock-on due to the interference caused by the Minutsky particles, and its primary gun had little effect on the Zaku's armor. To make matters worse, the Zaku's AMBAC system gave it superior zero-gravity mobility, allowing it to effectively outmaneuver and destroy the Federation Saberfish units, along with much of their supporting fleet. And the result of this was General Revil being captured during the Battle of Loom, and it was during his imprisonment that he witnessed firsthand just how exhausted Zeon truly was. After being rescued by Federation operatives as well as Zeon defectors, he delivered his famous "Zeon is exhausted" speech, which was a rallying cry that motivated the Earth Federation to reject surrender. And this speech did have a profound effect on Operation V. It reaffirmed the Federation's commitment to developing mobile suits, knowing that if they could hold the line at least long enough, Zeon's dwindling resources and manpower would eventually collapse under the pressure. With that urgency in mind, the Federation returned to the drawing board. They revisited the old ball prototype data and transformed it into a new machine, the RB-79 ball. It was cheap, quick to produce, and surprisingly mobile. The ball became the stopgap weapon the Federation needed, a way to buy time and give pilots a fighting chance against Zeon's mobile suits. The ball was equipped with a 180mm low recoil cannon mounted directly on its body, just like its prototype predecessor. And despite its compact frame, this cannon provided enough firepower to damage enemy mobile suits, making the ball a legitimate threat in combat. And because the design was based on the space pod, the Federation was able to rapidly retrofit 1,200 units for military use, a move that drastically cut production time and costs. And unlike mobile suits that use liquid-fueled directional thrusters, and back, the ball relied on directed solid fuel explosions. Each detonation actually created a short impulse that shifted its direction. It's not AMBAC, but it's still a massive improvement over the Saberfish's, space performance. This actually gave the ball a sharp reaction speed and decent maneuverability, though the system was limited in sustained use. And one of the ball's practical strengths was its ease of maintenance. Thanks to its simple fuel cell design, it could be refueled quickly aboard ships, as well as less complex moving parts, making it easier for repairs. And now, to be fair, at first the Federation pilots viewed the ball as a death trap, mocking it with the nickname Mobile Coffin. It had thin armor, limited ammunition, and really no melee capabilities, and no AMBAC. However, the data painted it a different story. The ball was smaller than a Zaku, making it harder to hit, as well as his burst of acceleration was faster than that of the Zaku, Rikdom, and even the RX-78-2 Gundam. It even had longer sensor range, which gave it an edge in range engagement and made it highly effective in hit and run tactics. But perhaps his biggest strength was his low cost, because before the GEM entered into full production, the ball will only cost 1/4 as much to produce. Now, because the ball was so easy to mass produce, it was also highly modular as well, resulting in several notable variants during the 1-year war. One of the earliest was the ball Type K. It was actually superior to the standard ball in nearly every aspect, including armor, propellant capacity, as well as onboard system. It had features like external lights, as well as a wrench system, which could also be modified with different anchors for various functions. And these were augmented later in mass production models as well to streamline the cost of production. The Type K also featured a significant cockpit upgrade, including a fire control system, expanded radar and communications array, a large monitor, and upgraded seating, all replaced with military-grade hardware for frontlines operations. Other variants include the Type M, which is used for mine laying, as well as the Type F, which traded speed for enhanced armor protection, and finally, the B Gundam. It's a fan-favorite parody unit that turned the humble ball into a hero unit. It kind of earned its own place in the Gundam pop culture stream. Now, let's be perfectly clear here. The ball was far from perfect. It lacked any close combat ability and back mobility, as well as heavy armor. And while it filled a critical role, the ball alone wasn't enough to turn the tide against Zeon. In fact, the ball suffered massive losses, especially when the GEMs wasn't even in the pictures yet. And it was the only mobile weapon from the RX project that didn't carry over the RX model number. But despite its flaws, the ball did its job. It held the line in space, and even after the events of Side 7 delayed Operation V, the ball had to remain in service longer than it originally intended, buying time until enough combat data from the Gundam could be analyzed and mass production of the GEM mobile suits could begin. Without the mass deployment of the ball, the Federation would have likely been pushed out of space entirely. It wasn't just a placeholder, the ball and his variants actually genuinely made a difference on the battlefield. It provided the support fire and the numbers the Federation desperately needed. Even after the GEMs began rolling out, the ball still remained essential. The Federation couldn't field enough GEMs fast enough, so the ball shifted from frontline use to, a support role. Often seen teamed with GEMs in a mixed formation, typically 3 GEMs and 2 balls. In some cases, there were only ball-only strike teams that were used as well, often consisting of 2 standard balls and at least 1 K-type. Now, the ball may not have been perfect, but it was a critical stopgap the Federation absolutely needed. The machine that held the line until mobile suits could be fully deployed, and even after the Federation began fielding GEMs, the ball remained indispensable, becoming one of the several key factors that led to the victory in the 1-year war. Now, its service didn't end there. During Operation Stardust, the RB-79C Ball Type C was deployed in a support role, helping secure and maintain Federation installations. The Type Cs were even sold to civilians during the post-war period, and in UC 0083, They were used for the installation and security of the Solar System 2 superweapon. And in later UC 0133, the ball made an unexpected return to frontline combat as the RB-133 Ball Model 133. These upgraded units were once again called into action during the Jupiter Empire's invasion of Earth, serving as fire support alongside with more modern Federation mobile suits. And despite being technologically outclassed, the Ball-type 133 still made its presence felt, proving that no matter how humble, the ball will always find its way to stay in the fight. And that's all from today's video. Honestly, the ball earned a lot of my respect. It became the little spear that could. It was tasked with a very incredibly difficult role, holding the line and buying time for the Federation that it desperately needed. If you'd like to see more Gundam content, hit that like button and subscribe. Farewell, my fellow engineers.